All right. Just about ready to get this started here. We gonna put this is I think the first time I've done this scheduled stream in like I don't know 8 years. They've changed quite a bit, so it's a little wonky, but we're getting it done here. I was actually going through the um analytics for the channel and looking at the subtitles, and there's people Spanish, French, and Arabic, German, Slovak, Bulgarian, Italian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, China. Like Turkish. Oh, both simplified and traditional Chinese. Cool. Hungarian and Thai. No Hungarians and no Thai. No, they don't translate. Okay, cool. All right. So we have a poll going on right now for just wanted to get a gauge on who might be watching, if they're new to building PCs or if they're just interested to see a build and how much I fail. We'll see what happens as the stream goes on, but we're gonna start in about 20 minutes, and I'm just gonna make sure I've got coffee and stuff, and then we're gonna start going over the parts list. So yeah, I'll be back very shortly. All right. Well, we might start just a little bit early because we're gonna have some stuff to go over. So, um, I'm just gonna throw up the build list here. So this is the build list that we're working with. Um, you got your Ryzen 8500G just for integrated graphics, pretty much basic, most basic AM5 CPU you can get, also the cheapest. We got the MSI Pro B650S Wi-Fi motherboard, so it does have wireless because I don't know if this person is going to use Ethernet or Wi-Fi, so I thought it was a good build as well. The memory, the original memory that I had on the parts list was only 4800, I think, and I have updated it to 5200 because it was like $2 more, so you might as well. We got a 2 terabyte drive in there because it's a good drive, and they're probably going to keep this until they either stop using computers or whatever. So we'll just give them as much space as possible. We've got the Montech X3 Mesh case, which I have never built in, so this is going to be a first for me. So we'll see how easy or how painful it is to actually build in this case. And we have the Corsair CX750M. It is not a fully modular, it is a semi-modular because they're probably not going to use a lot of stuff, but it was just relatively inexpensive compared to some of the other ones. And they were only like, 550, 650 watts. And for me, where I am in Canada, it was basically, why not? It was like a few bucks more. Let's give them a power supply. If they want to resell the machine at some point, some kid can upgrade the CPU and put a graphics card and probably not have to worry about replacing the power supply. So, yeah, so let's pop over to the overhead cam. And this is where we're going to be living for probably the next 45 minutes or so. It's going to take us to assemble the majority of the system. We've got pretty much, we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to go over because there's probably quite a few people who are going to be watching who have never built a machine before, or they're parting out they're like making their parts list, and they just want to see how things are done. So we're going to go right from the beginning, including we're going to update the BIOS on the motherboard using the flash BIOS, and then we are going to just slowly assemble the machine. So it's going to be a fun little process here. We've got hopefully everything that we will possibly need to complete the assembly of the system and get it into BIOS for the first time. I'm not going to go over installing Windows because I actually can't find my installer key. It is somewhere. I have to recreate one. So, but we'll do that one later off stream because I'll probably end up having to use their Microsoft account, and I don't really want to put that out there on the internet. So, unfortunately, we will not be going through Windows 11 installation, but yeah, it should be a good time. I'm hoping this case is nice to build in because I don't really feel like struggling with cable management. I hope Montech is, you know, thinking about the builders and not just about making a cheap case that they can make money off of, which does happen quite a bit. So I don't know if anybody caught the last live stream where we had 7 machines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 machines that we had to tear down and salvaged as much stuff as we could out of it. So we got lots of stuff. Like, look at all the RAM. Ooh, really old DDR2, DDR3 RAM. Very, very old stuff. It's always nice to have it, kicking around just in case. If some machine comes in, maybe I have a matching stick that I can just throw in it, just because it's free. What happens is, as I'm kind of IT guy around the town here, and when people buy a new machine through me, I will often take their old machine when they're done with it, wipe the hard drive, and then salvage anything else in the machine for future purposes if I can, if the machine is completely unusable, and then I will recycle the machine for them. I do not give hard drives to the recycle company without wiping it because I used to work at the recycle companies and I know what they do, and sometimes drives just mysteriously disappear. So even though they're not supposed to, and they have a legally binding document, I have seen them take drives like 16 terabyte drives that they had returned from like servers and stuff, and they will actually take them home and sell them on eBay and stuff. It's pretty skeezy what they do. But we are going to start by going over the parts that we have that are not the actual build components. And these are going to be things that you will need or potentially will need, especially if you end up having to disassemble the machine at some other date. You always have a tube of thermal paste. I just have some Noctua stuff here. It's like, I don't know, $14, whatever, Canadian, US. You just buy whatever. This is NTH1, 3.5 grams. I've had this for, I think, 4 computer builds, and I'm not even halfway done the tube. Of course, the bigger the processor, the more you're going to use, but these ones aren't too bad. All right, so we've got a display port to HDMI. This is so that we have a monitor that's sitting off to the side for now. It is a all-in-one machine that the hard drive failed in it for, this is probably like 7 years ago, and it has an HDMI input on it, and which is kind of cool. So I can actually just pop it down here and plug it in, and then I can, make sure that we have video output. So we're going to put that off to the side. We have our 2 USBs. So we're going to try something. There are a lot of people that have problems with USB drives. So since I can't find my regular 8 gig one, this is a 32 gig formatted to FAT32, and it has the BIOS file renamed to MSI.ROM like you're supposed to. And we're going to see if the 32 gig one works, because I have had in the past problems with larger USB drives, and my 16 gig actually failed. I have a really old Samsung USB stick. This is like, it's one of my favorite USB sticks because it's all aluminum, like metal. It's heavy, it has a light on it, and it's a keychain. And this is from when I was, probably 2004. Whenever I started YouTube, I did a video in Carstairs, Alberta, where we got a camera in, and I did a video about like just showcasing what the camera was like. It was a really stupid video, but this is from when I worked at that store. It was like a cell phone TV sales and stuff. And this is a Samsung mobile, so I got this at one of the dealer convention things for the cell provider, and they were giving these away. So this is old, and it finally cratered. Like, it does not recognize it. I don't know if it's just dirty or what. I might try to clean it and see, but it will not recognize it in the computer. So I can't use that one anymore. And the other one is, I have this USB for my 3D printer. It's just a card reader. So I have the little micro SD card. It's 8 gig. I have formatted at FAT32. It also has the MSI.ROM file on there. So if this one doesn't work, we're going to try this one. And I hope it works, because I really wish I knew where that other drive was. Anyways, so we're going to put that off to the side as well. And we have a mouse. Not necessary to have a mouse, but I like having a mouse anyways. You definitely need a keyboard, because it's nice to have something plugged in case you need to toggle between menus. You can navigate the BIOS with the keyboard. So keyboard or mouse, but the keyboard is pretty much necessary, especially if you're going through the installation process of Windows. You'll definitely need a keyboard to type in username, passwords, all that kind of stuff. So that will be for later on when we get into the post section. So yeah, so like the normal things that you need, screwdriver, have a knife in case we need it. There are zip ties in here. I have taken some of the packaging off of the components so we're not crinkling plastic as much as possible, or as little as possible during the build. But they do have some zip ties in here, which is nice. And I have some extras for cable management later on. But yeah, this is pretty much the entire thing, apart from the case, which is still in the box. That one, I have not even opened the box for the case yet. But it doesn't seem to be damaged on the outside, so we should be good. But yeah, so this is all the parts that were on the build list that we have. It's also linked in the description below. We are going to start by updating the BIOS. So on these, the only thing you need to update the BIOS without CPU, because this has flash BIOS on it, you need the USB with the BIOS file on it, power supply, and the motherboard, and that's it. You don't even have to hook the SSD up or anything like that. So, and it's always a good practice to do this on the motherboard box. And just for sanity's sake, let's go through the motherboard box to see what you get. So this is an extra standoff and a screw for M.2. Warranty, manual, wireless antennas. You got a SATA cable, another standoff for M.2, and a shield. So this one obviously has like 3 M.2 and only one of them is populated. Probably has like a, yeah, it has a heatsink on this one. So there's 2 other ones on here that don't have the standoffs pre-installed, so that's why they include them. But we will definitely need this later. We'll just leave it in the box for now so we don't lose anything. And yeah, put that away. So yeah, throughout this whole thing, if anyone has any questions about what I'm doing, parts, if you're working on your own build and you would like, probably shouldn't have closed that. If you would like, if I can answer your questions while I'm building, I will try. Just ask away in the chat. I have a screen over here, another all-in-one that is a non-Windows 11 capable machine that I use for my chat. So I can see chat a lot better. I used to look on my phone, and I figured this is a good use for an all-in-one. It actually has a touch screen on it, which is really handy. So, all right. Now let's pull the power supply out. And if the camera starts wobbling around, that's because I have my camera on a custom built stand so that I can do these overhead shots. All right, so we got that. We don't need the power. These are all the extra cables. So depending on what you're doing, if you're using graphics card, there's Molex in here, it looks like. We've got SATA cables. So we got PCI. Does this only have one CPU power on it? Nope, it's got more than one. So yeah, so there's going to be another CPU power. So if you have one, this one does have 2. So you can plug in 2. And I don't believe it matters anymore which one you use. But yeah, that is basically what comes in the power supply box. I've already got power cables for everything, so I don't need to take this one out of the box. But this will have everything we need to do the update on the semi-modular power supply. Just make sure that if you have cats, you give them the twist ties, especially the ones on the power supply because they're really big. They like those. All right. Here we go. So you got your 24-pin motherboard connector and your CPU, and they're labeled. Well, the 24-pin isn't, but the CPU one is. So what we do is we just plug these all in. Now let's just quickly go over the motherboard because there is some stuff on this board which I like, and not all of the boards that you're going to buy. So like when people buy ASRock motherboards and stuff like that, especially the really low end ones, a lot of them do not have some of these features on them, like the flash BIOS button, right? So the flash BIOS button is this little button right here. And you put it in a specific USB port, which I believe is usually this one, the one next to it, like in line with it. I'm going to have to double check the manual, make sure I'm putting in the right one, or just look at the rear back plates. They usually label that. But those are for updating the BIOS. It also has debug LEDs here, which will light up when we do the update. And there's an LED next to the flash BIOS button that lights up. It's usually red. Sometimes it's white or yellow, but we'll see what color this one is. What else we got on this board? It's cool. It's got a USB Gen 2 header. So for your USB-C on your motherboard front panel, you would plug your cable from the case right into there, and then that makes those USB ports work on the front, at least the USB-C one. Your 3.0 ports are right here, and then USB 2 is this one here. There's two here. You've got your front panel header, and we have, let's see, we've got one sysfan, two sysfan, three sysfan, four sysfans. So this has 4 system fan power headers for PWM. That's nice. And then you got your CPU fan. So if you have an air cooler like the one that this one comes with, or a pump fan. So if you have an AIO, you plug it into that one. It's really nice. Yeah, it's got some really cool stuff on here. Yeah, very, very simple board though. It's not like a super high-end board. I think it's like, it was like what, $189 Canadian, so it's pretty cool. Pretty inexpensive compared to, like, you look at some of the boards and they're like $300, $400, $700. Like it's. But all right, so let's go ahead and start plugging some of this stuff in here. So we've got our 24-pin power clip side. There's a little notch here. Push it down. So you push it down so there's no gaps. And this usually clips, and you can hear it click when you push it down, but sometimes it doesn't. Just got to make sure there's no gaps. And we're just going to plug this into CPU power 1, which is the left one, because it says it's 1. We're just going to plug it in there. There we go. And I'm going to grab one of these power cables. And it's off, so we're going to plug this in. And we're going to try, so I said we're going to try the USB one. Now, I'm going to pull up the motherboard here. I did not download the manual yet, really? I'm just gonna quickly download the motherboard manual so that I can reference it this way rather than worry about pulling it out of the box. Alright, I want to look at flash BIOS. BIOS update. I have the image here? Of course not. Why would it have the image, right? There we are. Keyboard, mouse. Number 9. Yes, it is the bottom one. All right, so the bottom one where the network port is the flash BIOS button. So which is this one here. So we're going to plug in our 32 gig USB here. And then we are going to try and get this so that you guys can see this light going on. And I want to make sure preview so that I can actually see what the stream looks like on my main machine here. So we are going to turn on this, and we're going to push the flash BIOS button. Okay, this one's white. So we got slow lights. It should start blinking fast when it finds it. That's normally how they work. This is the first time I'm actually using this particular motherboard, so I know the last AM5 board that I had, it was really weird. Like I had to push the button and then plug it in. But often the same way. Now, when you're doing this, you don't want to shut it off unless you're sure that it's not doing anything. It's interesting that it is actually slow and is not blinking fast. But we're just going to leave it for a little bit here and see if it's if this one behaves differently than the other ones. The B550A Pro video that I put out, it has a slow red light, and then when it does the flash and it's flashing it, updating the BIOS, it does it a little faster blink. And the CPU light is not on this motherboard. So normally that lights up when you power on the board if it has incompatible CPU or can't detect it. And on the B550A Pro, it was on during the flash, and then the flash would go off, but the CPU light was still on. So that's a little different than the other boards. Yeah, so they say the LED will be off when the process is complete. So I'm just going to let it sit there and think about what its life choices are. And hopefully this doesn't take like a half hour or anything. It is just very weird that it is a slow blink. Like it is not flashing fast. It usually changes. And there is a possibility that the 32 gig is too big and it doesn't like this. So we'll give it another couple minutes here and see if what it does here. The other thing that we might try is we'll turn it off. We'll unplug the USB, turn it back on, push the button, and then insert the USB, and we'll see if that like kicks in the button, makes it start working a little better. When you go through a new motherboard and setup, you notice the differences between the way that they have set up the different feature sets of the board. So like this, the general consensus is the same for as far as you format the USB as FAT32, you put the ROM file on and you rename it to whatever. So MSI is msi.rom to use the flash BIOS button. Gigabytes, I think they have a renamer program, so you would like extract it to the file and then run the renamer, and it renames the BIOS file or something like that. But yeah, they have that on their website usually. There's usually like a special manual thing if they need anything. This one actually has the instructions in the original manual. It's not like a additional features. Like I think Gigabyte likes to do that. They'll have like their manual, and then in the BIOS update section, it will just say check the additional features manual on the website, which is really annoying. But that is there. The other ways to do the updates is you have to have video output. So, and some boards don't even have a flash BIOS button. The Gigabytes is called Q Flash Plus. They have a Q Flash. It does not let you update your BIOS without a CPU. So if you are looking to replace it with a Gigabyte board, make sure that it says Q Flash Plus and not just Q Flash. It is not the same thing. So this is really not working. I don't think this is working, people. Okay, I'm just going to do this. Because the fan hasn't even spun, but you know, you never know. It might not boot up like that. Okay, so we're going to do this. Slow blinking. If it doesn't change to a fast blink soon, I'm just going to shut it off and try the other one. Yep. And turn it off. We will try the 8 gig. Oh, there we go. See, now it's solid. So it's doing something. So yeah. So 32 gig is just too big. Either that or it's the USB itself. Like maybe there's a problem or compatibility issue with this particular. This is a SanDisk, so you would think that it would be pretty good, but apparently not. Apparently this one is like not compatible with doing this type of stuff. So there you have it. It happens to even the best of us. Thankfully, I have another another drive that's working apparently. So it does happen. And I mean, I guess the end result is that everybody's going to learn. You know, they're gonna learn from their mistakes, and they have to learn how to troubleshoot things. So it does happen. All right, let's check the poll. New to PC. Look at that. We got a yes. Well, welcome. I hope you guys are going to learn stuff, and everybody starts somewhere. I hope no one gets on your case if you're new. If you ask questions, go ahead and ask questions if you have anything while we're doing this stuff, because some of these things do take time, like the update. We're just waiting for that LED to go off on the BIOS update, and then it should be good to go. We can start the actual assembly of the system. So if you have any questions about this system, your system, you're contemplating parts and stuff, just go ahead and type it in the chat there. I got my monitor here so I can see what you guys are saying. The so after we do this, we're going to take this M.2 cover off, and we're going to put the SSD in, which actually we can start unpacking the SSD right now because I haven't opened this one yet. And we're going to put the SSD in, and then we should be good. Which one did this one want to go out? Let's go. Once we get the SSD installed and put the cover on, then we should be good. Oh, that's a good case. That is that's a different case. So it just goes in here. See the other one. So this is a 990 Evo Plus. All right. So let's do a comparison here. Okay, so this is the 990 Evo Pro case. Oh, I guess it's the same. I have another one that was, oh, maybe that was the 980s or 970s. It used to have a plastic cover. Now it's all cardboard. So I guess they're, all for saving the environment. Please. Just built my first PC last weekend and I'm hooked. Was way simpler than I thought it would be. And now I'm trying to tinker with more hardware. Yeah, it's a never-ending hole. It's a rabbit hole of stuff. There's actually a post of a guy on the subreddit who was um, wondering if he could daisy chain a bunch of hard drives, like SATA hard drives, together. So he was. I'm assuming it would look something like this. I'll just grab a stack here. So it was like this, right? And he was gonna take power all of these, and he just wanted to daisy chain the all of the connections to it with SATA. And yeah, no, that's not how that works. But once you get into hardware stuff, like if you really want to get into like understanding hardware and you want to challenge yourself, go find like a really cheap or free server. Like I don't even know if I can angle this over here. So those are my servers. And I have two Dell servers there. And they are just there for playing around with. Enterprise gear is a whole other beast. The problem with getting some of these old servers is that they're very, very complex and a lot of stuff fails on them. So like for example, both of these servers, there's actually three here, but both of the main servers have RAID controllers in them, but they have a battery on the Enterprise. But if their system completely loses power, the battery is there so that if it's like busy reading and writing, it will actually have the power to finish writing to the drives anything that it needed to write before it loses power. And that's the purpose of that battery. So um, it's kind of interesting the way that some of this enterprise stuff is crazy, and the new stuff. I mean, these are from 2007, so they're getting old, right? And you try and go and look up some of the new ones, and they got some crazy technology. They have stuff like uh, Gen 5 PCIe stuff, but it's got a connector on it and they plug right into the board now, like cables, and then they go to like JBODs, which is just a bunch of disks and like different technology in the enterprise space, and it connects directly to the CPU. So they'll have like an AMD EPIC CPU, which is a massive CPU, and then it will just do all of this stuff directly to the CPU. It's kind of cool. I have a few boards with ARM chips from one of my software internships. Mostly everything is soldered on though so much. Yes. Yeah, GPIO pins. Yeah. So if anyone's curious, this isn't a great example. Well, this is more of an example. So this is a Raspberry Pi. This is a very old Raspberry Pi. It actually has a hat on it already. So like these things here will plug in. They're here. They're like soldered in actually this way. And then these are called GPIO pins on this part of the board, and you would connect like the hat to it, which is soldered in and stuff like that. And it would like I think this one is just on USB though. Yeah, this one is just connected to the USB. But you would have stuff that connects to it. You can add sensors and stuff like that. But those are general purpose input output stuff, so you can use those to do stuff like toggle LEDs or sensors, read sensor data, moisture levels, oxygen levels, that kind of stuff, all through reading the data that's on these pins. So they're kind of cool stuff. That's kind of more of the electronics side of it, really. Um, I have an Arduino. Why isn't this still? It's still on. What is going on with this thing? Anyways, um, I have an Arduino that I made a Christmas light show. So we have a relay, an 8-channel relay. So we have um, a outlet that has outlets for like your power outlets in your house. and they're split so that each one is an individual circuit, and they're wired to the 8-channel relay, and the 8-channel relay allows it to turn off and on the power to all 8 sockets individually. And then it has a connection to the Arduino, and the Arduino has the ability to send commands to the relay and tell it what relays to turn off and on. And the computer that it's hooked up to with a USB cable, it tells the Arduino what to do, and it has like the software. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like basically light control software, and it will play a song. So you load like a Christmas song in, and you program the lights and tell it what channel to turn on for how long. It'll do like RGB stuff. So if you have one of those Christmas trees that's got like 500 lights on it and they're all addressable, you can do like light patterns and all really, really funky stuff. So yeah, kind of cool. I just need to make sure I read this right. The LED will be off when the process is complete. Yeah, well, it's still on, so. And I mean, I have to. Oh no, I thought it went off. My vision got obstructed by the flash BIOS button. I thought it went off. This is a very long BIOS update process with this motherboard, and I don't want to turn it off just in case, right? Because if it's in the middle of updating the BIOS and it shuts off, it could only have loaded parts of the BIOS, and then it would brick the board and you have to replace it. So yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't take like an hour. I mean, the most I've ever spent is like 15 minutes, and I feel like we're getting really close to that. Because I don't want to take we have to take these brackets off. This is for like the hinge clamp version of the coolers. We don't use those with this particular cooler. We have to take them off, but I don't want to take it off and waste time if the BIOS is not going to update. This is going to be a short stream if the BIOS is hooped and I have to get a replacement. It'll be a very short stream. Maybe we'll just go play some games. I'm going to give this another like 3 minutes. And if that light does not go out, we're just going to power it off. And we'll try it again. Because that's ridiculous. And I can't really test it because I don't have anything installed. So even if it's let's just say for argument's sake, the MSI doesn't know what they're writing in their manuals. If the light doesn't go off and they say it does, but the light doesn't go off when it's done and like the CPU light lights up or something like that, then maybe it's done, but their manual is wrong. So, I mean, you have to trust the manual. I mean, they're the ones that wrote it. But I mean, some of the manuals on these motherboards are ridiculously stupid. Very, very sparse on information. Some of them even, I think is it the ASRock boards where it's like they have barcodes, like QR codes that you have to scan to watch videos on how to do stuff. It's really dumb. All right, come on, you guys. Come on, motherboard. Oh man. Yeah, if you guys want to see this type of stuff, I do build computers. I mean, this is the second one I built this month. I don't do them all the time, but because I just started, this is the first time I've actually posted that I'm doing a live stream in the subreddit because I don't really like to advertise. But I did this one because it is essentially that student build PC that's in the sticky post. And I thought it would be good to kind of go over the board process and see how it installs and how you assemble this machine with as much of the similar hardware as possible. I thought it would be a good video. But I usually don't advertise when I'm doing a live stream. So if you do want to see builds and stuff, just subscribe to the channel and you'll get notified when I do it. I don't always stream. I don't think I've made a video since like April or something like that. But um, yeah, on YouTube anyways. I do stream on Twitch sometimes, but often on Twitch it's the if I'm not doing computer stuff, I'm just playing games. Whatever game happens to be out. So um yeah, okay. You know what? We're gonna shut it off. It's been far too long. I don't like the fact that it is taking this long to go out. So we're gonna restart it. Hey yo. Hey yo yo yo. Okay. This is like a there we go. Now it's off. Alright. Okay, let's do this again. We're gonna turn it on. We're going to push the button and then we're gonna plug it in. Ah, see? And that's what it was. That's the same. See, now it's blinking fast. All right, so on this motherboard, their instructions in the manual are wrong. You do not put the board. See, now we got debug lights. Ah, see, that's more like what I'm used to. All right, so on this board, when you are assembling this machine, flip the switch, have the USB out, push the button, then insert the USB. I might actually try that with this one. No, I think I tried that already. It didn't work. That's more like it. How's it going, yo? You having a good day and enjoying your day? I'm gonna get some coffee while that does that. Yeah, you can see we have fan spin on the power supply now. So, and the debug lights come on, lets you know it's doing something. It went from a slow blink to a fast blink, and that's what you want to see. I'm not having too bad of a day. We're trying to build this machine, show people how things are going, the how this system kind of goes together. If this didn't work, it would be end of stream. I was actually starting to stress out a little bit because we were waiting for like 10 to 15 minutes and it was still solid. So we are we're working our way through. Now we're progressing. We're moving along the build process. You know, having good times here. So now, yes, after we're done this, M.2, we're going to remove the brackets for the weird clamp style. Actually, no one likes these clamp style coolers. They're a pain in the butt. Remove those so that we can put the cooler on. And then we'll put the CPU in. We'll put the RAM in. Actually, let's get the RAM ready while that's flashing as well. And yeah, if you're interested on the parts list, you want to see what it's like. As long as your country is supported, in the description is the build link for the. I think it's for the student PC. So it does have this motherboard. There's a couple differences, but yeah, you can change it to your region, and you can see how much this machine roughly would cost you. So, but this isn't exactly. It's not like identical to it because it is a customer's machine. You have to change what parts are in it. So there's our Viper Venom RAM. Ooh, no RGB. The Montech case is the white ARGB one. It was actually like $5 cheaper at the time, I think, than the black one, and so I just bought it. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what this case is like. The last one that I did on stream, I believe, was the Fractal Focus G. And I have built like 4 or 5 systems in that case, and it is a pain every time. And it's mainly because of the PSU shroud that's in it. And when you put the motherboard in, the USB and the HD audio, well, the HD audio is the main one because you run it for cable management, you run it behind the board and you come out. But if you don't pull it through the hole on the motherboard tray before you put the board in, the header, there's not enough space for the header to come out, or the cable end to come out. So you have to pull it out, and then you got to deal with it because now it wants to slide back in the hole because it's upside down. So you got to hold it, put the board in, and then make sure that it's in the right spot. So it's kind of a hassle. Plus, there's not a lot of room on the back side of it, so it'd be interesting to see how much room for cable management you have, especially when you get like thick cables. If you're running, let's say you've got like a 5080 or something, and you've got 3 PCI cables because you don't have a 3.1 power supply, the ATX one where it has the 12-volt high power built in. So you have to use like 3 PCI cables, that stupid adapter thing, and then into the 12-volt high power plug. That's a big bundle of cables. By the time you add in like the 24-pin power, which is right here, so this is like the back of the case is over here. By the time you do that, and then your GPU is sitting here, and now you've got your PCI cables, and you've got 3 of them in a big bundle, there's not a lot of room for this to go. Yeah, this is a client's computer. So yeah, there's not a lot of room. So when you get cases, it's fine to get cheap cases, but try to find a case that someone has built in before if you're not comfortable with it, because when it comes to cable management, if you want to make it look awesome, some of the really low end cases are very, very tight. Like you have literally that much room between the motherboard tray and the side panel, and there's no bulges on the panel, and yeah, they don't give you a lot of room, so you start putting in thick bundles of cable, and yeah, it gets kind of annoying to try and make it fit. Sometimes you have to put the case on its side and actually push down on the side of the case and slide it just to make it go in, and then quickly screw it in so it doesn't pop out again. But yeah, it's the fun parts that happen. It makes your day uh, a little more stressful, but when you're done, you know, you'll feel good that you actually got the machine together. Now this one is taking a while. We're on 7 minutes now because I started at 125 when I did this flat when I started it again. So yeah, so this one's taken quite a while to update, and this is the latest one as of today. I downloaded the latest BIOS. So the fact that it is still sitting here, because now technically this light should go off and these lights will stay on. That's the way the other MSI boards work. So when this is actually done, this will turn off. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, first time with this board, we gotta see its quirks and the way that things work with it, and yeah. And it's always nice to do this on the box, because if this board was bad and you had put it in the case and assembled it, and then it doesn't work, you got to take it all off, you got to make sure you have thermal paste to redo your cooler, like it's just a whole bunch of hassle. So doing this outside saves a lot of time because I just got to unplug this, stick it back in the box, and get an exchange from Amazon. So yeah. And if anybody has questions about like why I chose this board, I will answer them. Number one is the flash BIOS. And since this is the student PC, it has Wi-Fi because there are some dorms that do not have Ethernet cables to it. Like if there's 2 people in a room, they don't have Ethernet, they have Wi-Fi. That's it. So I made sure that I got a motherboard that has wireless on it so that they can at least have wireless at some point. Now, as far as building the machine and installing the drivers, that's a whole other story because you have to do the bypass to get into a local account just to boot into Windows 11 so that you can install the wireless drivers, and then it will all work fine. But otherwise, you got, hey, look, it went out. Yay! All right, so now that that's out, we got debug lights on. We can turn this off. Lights go out. Let's unplug power, USB. Oh man, they're always tight. All right, there we go. Now, let's get going. Now we can start doing the actual build. Let's pop in our RAM. A2, B2. Second one away from the slot is A1, and this is B1. And it got both sides on this one. Oh, that's cool. You line it up. Push straight down. Clicks. In there. Come on. Get out the box. There we go. RAM installed. And I put the RAM in before any coolers, just because if the cooler, let's say you got one of the double tower coolers, they let's get rid of this mounting thing first. If you got a double cooler, sometimes it'll hit this because these aren't low profile sticks. So it'll be interesting to see how close that actually gets to that slot. It shouldn't be close because it's not a vertical cooler, it's a horizontal cooler. This is just a stock cooler. So when you remove these screws, make sure you have the correct screwdriver and don't just reef on it. I like to push down and just give it a couple quick kind of twists a little bit, and it will break whatever factory nonsense that they have. Sometimes you've got Thor, the God of Thunder, screwing these things in, so you got to be careful with that. Okay, let's do this as well over here. Oh, they got 2 screws on these ones. We have 2 different size screws. So the small one goes up here and the long one goes in here. We have this. We have our M.2 drive. You put it in on a little bit of an angle. And it goes down. Does this have the... Oh, it has the latch. Sweet. Cool. All right, so this one here, it'll pop up here. So this one here has the retaining latch on it, which is cool. They don't always have this. So when you push it down, there's a little black tab here. And I'll just take this out real quick here. And this little tab has a little edge on this side. And so it's, when you put it this way, it's going on top of the little screw mount point. So you put it this way. M.2 goes down, and you just go like that. And that holds it down. Okay, and then you take a little peel. Come on, if it wants to come off. All right, so we've got the one with the little 3 dots is the one on here. So we got the small one here. And the big one here. If you're ever wondering what I'm doing, when I put screws in, especially the little ones, the M.2, because they're so thin and it's easy to cross thread them, I go backwards until it pops. And that means that the threads are starting to engage, and then I screw in. And that way you can avoid cross threading the screws. I always put the old mounting hardware in the motherboard box in case we have to return it or anything and you don't lose it. CPU. And every time you do this, if you build a machine, just remember that you look up whoever you bought the components from, look at their exchange periods. Okay, and then when you let's say it's 14 days, right? Keep every single package, box, everything for 14 days. And then you can throw it out. But do not throw away your motherboard box, because within the year, most of like the power supplies, they don't care. The motherboard has the serial number for the board on it, and they want the board. Sometimes they don't want it back, but they will. It's nice to ship it in it, because if they repair it, then they will just send it to you, and you'll have the same board. It may or may not come back with the box. That's the only thing that they caution you. I have had them come back in brown or white boxes before, so yeah, it is nice to have the original box though, especially for shipping. All right, here we go. So we pop this back. We have our little window. We get our little CPU out. And you look up, there's a little triangle on the mounting bracket here. And on the CPU, there's a little brass triangle on this corner. It's nice that the logo is finally upright. It used to be like this, and on the AM4, it drove me insane. And you just kind of put it in there, and you push this down. Make sure that the little socket thing is over top, and it will catch the lid, and then it pops in, and you take that off. And that's it. This cable, you keep this in the box as well, especially if you have to ship it back, because this protects the pins. So if you put this back and you have not damaged the pins, if this is on there, they assume that the pins were damaged from the factory. So it might help you with warranty as well. So, little tips. All right, cooler. With the coolers, the part that I like to do is try and figure out the best orientation. So it either has to go this way or this way, right? And unfortunately, they have not gotten the spacing. I think this one, nope, this one is oblong. It's not square, so you can't even rotate this. So it's kind of annoying. But I also try to find the best rotation for the fan. It probably is going to be this way, because it's got to go in here. CPU fan. Okay. So the screws are mounted, they're resting right on the mounting points. And then you're just going to kind of steady it. And you're going to try one, and you're just going to push down until you get one started. And then do the opposite corner. There we go. So now it's actually technically on there. So I don't have to hold it anymore. But you have to kind of push down to get them started. Okay, so now you're going to do the same crisscross pattern. Just going to do a little bit at a time. These ones have it pre-applied. If you are using a cooler or replacing your cooler and it is not pre-applied, or you have to clean it off, you will be doing a pattern of some sort. There's many videos on what to do. X pattern, dots, pea size glob, etc. Oh, that one's on. That one's on. I'm just screwing these down. That one's on. All right, all four are done. You don't want to over tighten them, but you also don't want them to be loose. Sometimes if you over tighten these, especially with the Intel chips, apparently I haven't built an Intel chip in or Intel PC in like 12 years, but apparently because they're so big, if you over tighten them, it can warp stuff, especially with like custom coolers. It can warp the board and make the pins not get proper contact, and then it like just doesn't turn on, right? So yeah. All right, so now we have that. Put that in here. We're going to put that sticker. We might put it on the case. I don't know. We'll see. I usually put it on, but sometimes I forget. Okay, we're going to make some room here because we have to put the monitor up because we're going to post this puppy. Make sure we get into the BIOS and that everything, it likes itself. It doesn't hate its life. So we'll get this stuff out of the way over here. This stuff out of the way. Put this over here. This over here. Sure. All right, so we got 24 pin CPU. Shove it over here. I'm gonna grab my monitor. I'm gonna bring this over so I'm not working around the monitor. This is the power I'm gonna use for the monitor. And I need my display. We're gonna go onto the display port because it has one. And we'll come over here. Now we get the fun part. Gigantic monitor. HDMI in. This is an all-in-one. I don't know if anyone's new here. That is an all-in-one machine. Stickers are the only reason to build your own PC. I agree. I miss some of the old ones, like the Intel Inside logo ones. Those are really cool. All right. Gigantic monitor hooked up. And we're going to set this down here. Is that going to fall? Yeah, that's going to fall. Can I rest it on here? There. Can you see that? Make sure, just watching, checking the camera. Yeah, that'll work. All right. Keyboard, mouse. Remember USB superposition. If you don't connect it 3 times, it's not in, right? Right. So we do on and front panel. So your front panel is on the bottom right of the motherboard. And on this one, I am not going to be able to read this. So we got power LED, hard drive LED, power switch reset. So the power switch is, so this is the header. On the top row, the top 2. And all you do, you go like, oh, let's turn on the monitor before we do that. Okay, that's the Dell. Okay, HDMI. All right, let's see. Fan spin. The first time this boots up, remember, it's DDR5. It's going to do a memory training. Let's put this down here. There is a BIOS option on DDR5 boards called Memory Context Restore. I think that is going to work. I think it's going to kick back to life here. The memory contacts restore, as long as you don't lose power to the power supply or change the memory configuration, it just speeds up the boot process because it doesn't have to do the training all the time. The training can take like 15, 20 minutes. Like it depends on what your memory settings are. Yep, there we go. I just got a black screen. And which one is that? This one? That is not the one. Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. All right. So I'm gonna move the camera over here. All right. So we have a 3.55 gigahertz CPU. DDR is at 4800. We haven't set the speeds or anything yet. We have no memory profiles, right? All right. So we have TPM 2.0 is turned on, so that's good for the amazing stuff of Windows 11. AHCI, RGB light control. I don't really care yet. I'll leave it on. I don't know if I'm gonna hook up the RGB on the case or not. So yeah, it's reading everything. It's recognized that Expo profile is a DDR5 5200, so it's recognizing the RAM. It has two in here. So profile 1, the timings, it has a 68 as the last one, and then it has 109. So it has a lower voltage with this higher value and a higher voltage with a lower value. So it's two different types of memory profiles for this particular memory kit that the motherboard now recognizes. We'll try just using one. It'll use more power, but it probably faster. I don't know. Well, I usually just set it to one. We are in UEFI BIOS. We have all of our little temperature things here. And yeah, everything looks fine. BIOS build date August 7th. So this is not that old a BIOS, brand new. And yeah, that is basically the build. Now that you got to this point, you know the system works, right? Once you get to this point and you know the system works, when you put it into the case and if it doesn't work, you know you've done something wrong because it was working and now it's not. And that's why you build it outside. You make sure the system works. The only thing we're not testing right now is the solid state drive because I'm not going to install Windows right now. But yeah, this is like the basic troubleshooting. It saves yourself a lot of hassle because I've only gotten to this point. I haven't done cable management and zip ties and all that stuff that I might have to undo to return the motherboard, for example. So yeah, it's a really nice time saver for dealing with hiccups like that. So all right, so now that we know this works, let's actually do Expo 1, and we go F10. Yes, we will reboot it here. We'll make sure. Oh, I didn't check and see it. Memory contacts restore is usually on by default, but it should boot up right away. And when you save your settings, it is a little slower the first time, but yeah, it's immediately coming on now. So yeah, so memory contacts restore is turned on. And there we go, 5200 megahertz. So after we're done this, we're going to install this into the case, make sure all the fans are the proper orientation and everything. And then we're going to do a series of stress tests. We run OCCT for like an hour just to make sure that it doesn't detect any weird problems with it. I also, if I have a GPU, I will run FirmArk and I will run Cinebench R23. I will run Cinebench R23 and FirmArk for about 15 to 20 minutes after I do the initial test, just to make sure that the FirmArk pushes the graphics card really, really hard and it generates a lot of heat. So I like to run the CPU and the GPU things at full load in that kind of environment where it's a gaming environment, even though it's not really gaming, just to make sure that the case's cooling is adequate. And if it's not, you'll see thermal throttles and you'll know you have to like change your cooling, upgrade your cooler. Maybe the cooler is not good enough, right? And you have to upgrade it. So yeah, things like that is what you look forward to troubleshooting when you're finished assembling your machine. You get into Windows and all that stuff. So anyone have any questions at all while we're sitting here at the BIOS screen? Have you guys been trying to figure stuff out on your BIOS and where things are? We can maybe go over it while we can see the screen here, because they got lots of new stuff in here. Let's go into easy mode here. We got boot numlock post beep is off. Hard disk CD USB network. Cool. OC settings. I wonder if this one has the auto thing in it. There's memory contacts restore is auto. Oh, that's cool. Normally that's set to enable, but whatever. We'll just leave it in auto. OC profile. Give it a try beta runner. What the heck is this? Serve IOV support. If system has SR IOV capable PCIe devices, this option enables or disables single root IO virtualization support. I have no idea what that is. I'm going to have to look that up. That's something new for me. NVMe cell test. I don't want to run the test on it. Yes, I don't want to do that. I want to see, like this usually has profile. Okay, in here, some of the motherboards have like an auto overclock thing, like auto, and it will just run through a bunch of stuff and try to generate like the best performance. But I don't think this board does it. I don't see it in here. It's just got all the manual settings in here. You can change the fabric. It's all in auto. There's a memory try it here. This is useful if you're trying to overclock your RAM beyond like 5200. Let's say you want to either tighten the timings and manually change stuff. The memory try it will let you change settings, and if it fails, it reverts it automatically. So it's good to if you're trying to change stuff, and then you don't have to wipe your CMOS, and any changes you've done won't be reset. So it's kind of a nice little way to play around with your memory configurations. But so like here's all the timing stuff. You have it's all set to auto, but like this 36, 36, 36, 68. These are the numbers that are on the chip, and usually they have it right on the box. This one does not have it on the box. It's on the stick itself, but that one sometimes they write it on the box too. But those timings, let's say you get a motherboard and like a brand new kit of RAM that like came out that day. The board probably doesn't have too much information. It might be able to figure it out. You might have to manually set these speeds and timings according to what it says on the box, and hopefully that it will work. If it's not compatible, like let's say it's like the 8000 megahertz or mega transfer RAM, it might not know how to deal with it. So you might have to manually set them. That's something that some people run into, especially when you're trying to do like cutting edge stuff. Yeah, it's a little bit extra, but it works. Expo profile. Yeah. I don't see the automatic thing in here. CPU support. I want the advanced CPU settings. DRAM. Doesn't have that in here. Advanced DRAM. Advanced CPU. There it is. We go and you have your Vision Boost Overdrive. Okay, it's set to automatic. So that'll automatically do a bunch of like clock boosts and stuff. Voltage. It'll change the voltage based on how cool the processor is, which it is very hot in this room. It's actually running at 50 degrees Celsius because it's actually, I have my door closed and it's very hot in here right now. Where? It's got to be in there. I'm looking for the whatchamacallit? Virtualization. There it is. SVM. We'll enable it. We'll just leave this one on auto. She's not going to use virtualization. But yeah, this is SVM is the virtualization. So if you're going to run virtual machines, you want to play around with it. Like you can load different versions of Linux. You can try to run a Proxmox server on your machine. It'll run a virtual machine, and you have to enable virtualization for it to work. So, yeah, pretty cool. It's not a bad board. I don't see anything too different or obscure with it, so it's kind of cool. What is this? Oh, you could game boost the CPU. Ooh. All right. Anyways, save. Yeah, we're gonna exit. All right. Light went out. We're just gonna turn off the power supply. All right, we are done. We are done with the build. We're gonna try and put this in the case now. Let's unplug all this stuff that we don't need. Come on. Okay. This. Monitor off to the side. This is where it gets really interesting. We get to find out if all the reviews on this case are liars. Because if this case is horrible to build in, I will not recommend it on. I'll probably end up removing it from the parts list. But all the reviews that I saw of it say that it's worthwhile. So we'll find out real short here. Shove this over here. I'm going to put this motherboard on my other stool over here. And let's get the case. Montech with good value. Mesh version RGB fan. RGB is the devil's toy, people. Just so you know. Put this here. I'm just going to try and get it out of the box on the stool so that I can dump it onto the desk. How did we package our cases? That's about it. That's about all you really want. Oh, you know what? Let's move the camera again. I have no idea what that was. Oh, that was cool. All right. Yeah, so we got a little bit of closed cell foam. Not the greatest. But like I said, the box is not damaged. So it's probably fine. Is this going to come out or is it going to be a pain? I'm going to pull it by this. And the case for the box for your case is very important to keep if you have to return it. Like let's say the USB ports don't work on the front or something like that, or the power button is broken, etc. You're missing something. You shatter the tempered glass, that kind of stuff. Having the case lets you return it in the case that it came in. So this goes in that. So far, the packaging is not dissimilar to Fractal. Fractal cases are pretty much the same. I think they have different foam though. Like they use that open cell foam. So I take off the mesh. How much room we got in here? Oh, it is doing that thing again. No, I know why, because it moved. How's this? Sure. Yeah, so I take off the mesh so I don't bend it. Because no one likes a bent mesh. All right. It's got a CPU shroud or PSU shroud. So let's take the tempered glass off so we don't break this. Oh, this is a hinged one. Does it have a button? It just pulls. All right. How does this one open? Ah, aha. It has a tabby thing, a little pull tab. When you just slide it up, it's got little pins on the hinge. Tempered glass, please handle with care. You tell that to Amazon. Put that back in the box, lean it up against the styrofoam. So we've got 3 fans in the front, 2 in the top, and 1 in the rear. It comes fully loaded. That's actually very nice. And this is what? If anyone has it, I think it was like $64 Canadian or something to have all the fans. That's actually a really good deal because oftentimes you have to buy your own fans. So, are these captive? They are not captive. That's minus 1 point. Non-captive thumb screws. That is very annoying. I don't like it when the thumb screws are not captive because that's exactly what happens. I drop them on the floor. All right, side panel off. Now we can get at the accessories box. I looked up the Corsair H5 flow and found out that they do not have the breakout cables anymore. Oh my god, it's a Molex centipede, people. It's a Molex centipede. We have to connect a Molex power supply cable. That is a negative point for me. That is not good. We have the centipede of Molex connectors on this machine. At least it's not too bad. The thickness is probably pretty big, actually. Let me grab my calipers. How much room do we get here? It's got a lip here. Can I do it here? $12 millimeters of room. That's not horrible. That's probably big enough for at least the 24-pin power, so not horrible. So, we have no breakout cables anymore. Okay, this one does not have the block. That's the USB. Really? It has a USB 2 on it? What? Really? Alright, so 1 USB 3 and 2 USB 2s. It's nice to have 3 ports. These should all be 3. Every single one of them should be USB 3. There's no reason not to have USB 3 ports on a machine, on a case. Because this isn't that old. Like this case is fairly new. I mean, it has to be within 4 years. but I don't know. I didn't make the case. I can only complain about it because that's my right as a builder. All right, so we're going to separate. Front panel I/O is not on that block like Corsairs have. A lot of new cases they have that block because it's pretty standard now, not like the old days with like BDR2 boards. This one has them all labeled individually, so you can plug them in however you want. But yes, I did find out that Corsair does not have the breakout cable. It changes like the block into these. And they don't include that anymore. And it claimed it was end of life motherboards. They just don't support it anymore. The HD audio and USB are on the same ribbon cable. HD audio is here, and the nearest USB is here. So that is a problem. Montech, that's not good. You're not thinking about the customers. That means I have to split this further down just to make it reach, because that's not going to stretch that far. That's not good, Montech. That's another minus point for you guys on this case. I don't like that. I don't like the centipede. I hate centipedes and Molex, because now I got to hook up a Molex cable. All right, let's get this flipped around. How much room do we have? We do not have a lot of room, really. I mean, that hole is big. So I'm looking at the holes for the pass-through. So the board's going to go right up to the bottom. And this is going to be my pass-through, but that's right on top of the power supply. Well, we can't put the power supply in first, that's for sure, because we won't be able to fit the header in. So, all right, let's get the cases, get the screws. It does not have the notch one. Oh, that's interesting. So they're all screws. Some of it, like the fractal design, this middle one is a nub. You don't put a screw in it, and it's there to help you align it. And when that screw's in there, it should be lined up properly. At least they give you the socket. That's nice. They don't always give you the socket. It's to use it for the standoffs if you have to put them in. But, and we have a baggie that is not resealable. So I'm going to use a total of probably 6 screws out of this entire bag, and they're all going to be loose. Every single one of them. This is the Montech X3 Mesh, and this is the RGB version. Okay. I want this one. I don't want that one. I want the ones that have the little washer thing. Okay, I'm going to separate these out, the ones that I need. 2, 4. That's not one. 5. 6. All right, so we got all 6 of our screws. Can we see that? Yep, we can. All 6 of the screws for mounting the motherboard. We have a cable with just a random zip tie on it, which is really cool. I like that a lot. It's got a little kink in it already from the factory. Very, very hastily put together, I will say. Overall, so far, I mean, for $64, it's fine. You know, I just wish that in today's age, because I don't even know. Can someone look up Montech X3 Mesh when it came out, like what year it came out? Because if it's older than like 2020, it's completely fine. If it came out 23 or later, then that is a big problem, because there's no reason to have Molex fans in the case. Yeah, they're cheap, but PWM fans are just as cheap. Like, I don't understand. It's like they're cutting pennies at that point. There's probably like 2 pennies per fan price difference for a PWM. Anyways, enough ranting. Let's get this installed. We need the motherboard, rear I/O. I'm going to grab the wireless antennas while I'm here. And get back in the box. Hard putting the box together with one hand. There we go. Came out June 2021. Oh, so borderline. So borderline. I don't know what you guys think. Would you give them a pass or fail on having the Molex Centipede on a fan in 2021? For all of these fans. Instead of putting a fan hub in, that's what they would have had to do because most motherboards don't have like 5 PWM. This one has 4. So they would be missing one. You'd have to use Y adapters, which are kind of expensive. But I mean, there's lots of like Chinese fan hubs that they could buy, just a power one, right? I don't know. I don't know if I give them a pass on that. It was obviously a money saving decision. But all right, so now hopefully we don't have to make a blood sacrifice today. So when you put these in, there is the display port here. So these little tabs actually serve a purpose. These are grounding tabs, and they touch the motherboard parts. So like in between the connectors, it's actually the shielding around the connectors. So like in between all the USB, the Ethernet port has one. And this one does not have the extra tab on the Ethernet port, which is nice because there's 2 USB ports right below it. But the display port does, and this goes on top of the square part, which I'll show you in a bit when we go put it in. It'll sit in like this, and this goes in on top of the display port. So when we put the board in, it has to go underneath this. So what I like to do is just kind of flex it up because in the factory, in the box, they can get flattened a little bit. You don't want to bend it all the way because you do want it to make contact. But it does get kind of annoying. So now the blood sacrifice, these are very sharp. These are like razor blades. They don't mean it to be, but it is very, very sharp. And I often cut my fingers on these things. And that fan cable is in the way and is going to drive me absolutely bonkers. So you put it in on the inside. Oh, this one is actually nice. The tolerances are pretty good on it. Come on. Maybe they are good. Yep, there it goes. In. We're in. All right, that wasn't too bad. I did not cut myself. Good. We're good. All right, so this fan cable is driving me insane. It is in the way. So when I put the board in, how hard is this going to be to remove? Very hard. All right. You win, Montech. You win. We'll work around it. Just kind of try and force it here because if you see what I mean here, the standoff's here, so that means the board is going to be like right here. And the cable, I have to go underneath the cable. So I'm trying to prop it up. Normally I wrap the cable around this way, but this one is tied into the Molex Centipede, so I can't undo it without undoing about 30 zip ties. All right. Yeah. Well, even gloves don't help because you don't want static gloves, right? So you just got to be careful and push on the corners of the connector. Once you get like one corner and try the next one, they usually pops in because it kind of aligns itself to the cutout on the case. So, all right, here we go. Moment of truth. Can we do this without scratching anything? So I hold it by the cooler because it's secured. You got to come in here, and because that fan's there, I can't see the display port. I got to make sure that I put it underneath, and that tab is too low. All right. And you guys cannot see this, but that is there. The fan cable is not pinched. It is not in because it is not flush against the outside. There we go. And I'm just going to push this down. All right. Now it's touching it again. That, okay. Please tell me my screwdriver is magnetized a bit. Not really. I have a fridge magnet I stick on my screwdriver, and then it holds the screws. All right. So what you do is you put them in, reverse, and then forward. And you do not tighten it down all the way yet. Do two. Do like opposite corners or something like that. Because it's not lined up, and if you tighten it down, you won't be able to shift it at all. There we go. Now we're in, so now we can tighten it down. I don't even know, can you guys even see inside? Not really. I can't really get a light closer either. Because it's... Sorry, I don't have a professional studio. Alright. So yeah, unlike the fractal design case where that middle one is a nub, you don't have to put a screw in there. And you'll see how I had to push the case in. If I put that screw in with that nub, I wouldn't have to do that because the board doesn't move. When that nub is in that hole, it holds the center of the board as an anchor point. So when you put in the corner screw, it makes it flush against the back of the case, which is really nice and really handy. So, come on. Nope. There it goes. And you don't want to crank these down too tight, because if you ever do have to remove the board, you don't want to unscrew the standoff underneath it. You just want to make it snug. I thought I had another screw, and apparently I miscounted. Oh, there's 9, that's why. My math skills are amazing today. Okay. Nope. There's different types of screws in here. There's rounded head ones that don't have a washer, and there's ones that have a washer. I use the ones with the built-in washer on them for the motherboard. I don't even remember what you use the other ones for. The ones that have the hex heads on them are for the GPU slots. So they go in up here if you need them. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 that you can break off, so they don't have the screws basically built into it. The ones that you normally remove on the side are for GPUs. They have slots on it, which is kind of nice, because if you ever get rid of the GPU or it's a different thickness, then you don't have to worry about missing a flap. You just remove the one if it's too big, or put one back. So if you do remove those, make sure you put them back in the motherboard box. Oh, is that all of them? That is all of them. I do not need more. Cool, we are done. All right, now comes the fun part. I need HD audio and USB, and we're gonna flip this over to do that. So HD audio and USB is, we'll put it on this side, and then these will go on the front hole, because I think the USB X3 is closer to the front. Now we try to flip it around without the cables falling out. There goes the hockey helmet. Oh, it's the wrong way. Can I push it through this way? I did it in reverse because I had it mirrored in my head. Come on. Give me the other one. There you go. Oh, don't you fall out. Whatever. I'll deal with that one later. Okay, we gotta do this. HD audio is this one. Now I gotta do. Wow, that is not very long. We separate that a little bit. HD audio has a little black pin, and you gotta look on the header for where there's no pin. That's direction. So in this case, the label goes up, which is going to be very annoying because the cable is not the right orientation for the direction of them. It is actually very frustrating. Okay, and then USB goes this way. It does not go that way. You guys are dumb. Montech, come on. So the USB has the black pin here and here, but the USB, in order to go, it has to go label down, whereas the HD audio is label up. And we'll do it in USB 1. So I would say that's another point gone. So what are we at? We're at 3 or 4 points. Front looks like a fractal. Yes, it does. Very much like a fractal. Meshify C. That's the case that I have. It looks like the Meshify C. All right. So now that one cable came out. Get that in here. All right. And for anybody who's also wondering why I suggest that you do this before you put the thing in the case, this is the USB 3 header, or cable that goes into the header, that is notorious for ripping the actual plastic off of the motherboard if you have to remove it. Just another reason why not to wire everything, just in case you have to RMA the motherboard. Because it can be very, very tight. Because it's just a tiny little connector, but oh yeah, that one's not too bad. It felt tight, but it clipped in really easy. Sometimes you gotta like push, and then you know that it's never coming off. You might as well super glue it to the case. Okay, now I'm gonna have to look and squint because you are not gonna be able to see this. And in fact, I'm going to use my flashlight because I need to see. Okay, so we need power LED plus minus. Hard drive LED plus minus. Plus is on this side, so plus is on that side. This is why the block connectors are actually really nice, because you don't have to fiddle with these tiny little things. But they were necessary back in the day. And this PSU shroud is such a pain because it's right next to the motherboard. There's like no room at all. Come on. You, sir. I can't even put my finger there because the shroud's in the way. Fine, I'll put the power on later. Alright. Hard drive on. Power plus. Power minus. Okay. Then we have power switch and reset. And the reset's on what, the bottom? Yeah. We'll do the reset one first. Reset one doesn't matter what direction you put it on, because the it's a momentary switch. It doesn't do anything really. Same with the power. Alright. Done. Front panel. That's like the hardest part about the whole computer, is the stupid front panel headers. Okay, so now we've got audio, USB, USB 3, front panel, CPU fan. Now we can work on wiring up the power supply. And we should be good. We don't forget we have to get the Molex cables. We won't put the wireless antennas on yet. I need the power supply box because I need to grab those Molex cables out of it. Connectors of a bygone era is what this is. Right. Come on, don't fall over. Where's your connector? There it is. SATA pad, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna put it. We want it closer. Yeah, we'll do it closer. So we're gonna go here. Okay. That is the one frustrating part about semi-modular power supplies. Is this going to sag that way? Yes. We are not doing this so that you can see it, apparently. Oh, actually, no, I'll try to hold it up. All right, so we need to go this way. Fan down. What? Oh my god, the HD audio cable is a flat ribbon cable. Okay, there we go. You gotta push it out of the way. Okay, no, I'm not doing it that way. We're just gonna go like this. You're not gonna be able to see me screw this in because it's like in the middle of the case. And that lines up. All right. Really? No screws. Where's that? Maybe it's in the zip tie bag. Where's that zip tie bag? Ah, yes, there are screws in here. I thought Corsair didn't give us power supply screws. It's been 20 years since I built a PC, trying to brush up before I build my new PC next year. Wow. Yeah, it's been a while. Lots has changed in 20 years, man. The technology has come so far, especially with like the solid state drives, like dealing with the mechanical drives, and then suddenly, oh, you have a stick of gum sized hard drive now. So just like, since you can't see this, I'm just going to describe. I'm just putting the screws in until it's lined up, because I got to lift. And you do not want to cross thread these screws. And out of the factory, the powder coating or paint or whatever that they put on these things sometimes it gets into the threads and it makes it seem like you're cross-threading it, but it's on the back side of the thread, and so it's fine, and all of a sudden you got to twist it because it's breaking through those paint layers. All right, so now I got all 4 in. I'm just going to push the power supply to the back, make sure it's aligned, and just screw one in all the way. And do this one on the corner. That one was biting the paint. All right, there we go. We're done. Power supply done. I am knocking that camera around like there's no tomorrow. All right. So let's put it down. Okay, so this is our Molex, and it's got 3 connectors on it. It doesn't matter. It's got labeled fan power. Wow. Wow. Plug that in, and it just exists. All right, CPU power is up at the top. So we're going to go stick that up there. 24-pin motherboard. Really? That just fits. Oh man, you guys. Unbelievable. Oh, and see, now it's in the way. Now it's in the way. The centipede is in the way, people. So I have to put that under there, put in the centipede, then connect this so that the 24 pin comes on the side. And then we have zip tie madness. Zip ties on twist ties on twist ties. Like this one is just hanging out. Like it says, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like Joey and Friends. How you doing? All right. Don't need it. Okay. This one here, we'll tighten this up, tidy it up when we get it plugged in, because then we can see how much slack we have. And we don't want it to come out. Okay, we plug in CPU. We plug in motherboard. All right, now I'm going to unplug the centipede again, plug it back in. So we've got one here. And we could do this. Let's do that. That looks not too bad, actually. So we're going to grab the cable, pull it over to this side. I'm going to go through. And we're going to grab all of these cables with it. All right. Like that. All right. So now it's flat against it. It's using actually this cable for the USB and HD audio to hold itself in. And there should be enough clearance, but we're kind of tucking this along here to try and keep it out of the way. I don't want to pull on these fan cables because it might be annoying, and it's just so unwieldy in here. Why I hate Molex, because you only ever need one connector nowadays, and you got 3 freaking cables off the power supply. All right, so now we're gonna zip tie these over here. Some people use an electric screwdriver. You can. You just got to make sure that it's not like a high torque one, because you don't want to be accidentally cross threading, and you don't want to strip the screw heads. So you just got to be very careful when you use them. All right, so we'll get this kind of where we want it. That stupid HD audio cable is in the way. We flatten them down and make sure it's where we want it. How much slack do we got? All right. I don't want to like twist it, but it's a really stiff power cable. I'm not gonna force it. All right. Just gonna go in here, pull these front panel ones back a bit. They're just going to exist. I don't want a lot of stress on them, because if you wiggle cables around, you might pull on it and unplug like your power switch just by accident. So I don't really want to do that. All right. Let's see if the centipede is going to impede our progress of putting this case back on. The side panel. How much is it? I'll cut the things off in a second. Oh no, that's fine. Awesome. All right, let's cut these off. Never cut them on an angle. You don't want to be slicing your finger next time you try to root around inside the case. And yeah. Okay, that is for side, the non-captive thumb screws. Go back on. I'm pretty sure it's going to post. I'm not going to post it before closing. I know it's a no-no, but I don't care. I do what I want. All right. Let us just turn it on. I don't need a video. I just need to see if there's any error lights on it. Power. We got debug lights. I'm happy. It works. Let's put the tempered glass on. Probably easier to do this when it's not on its side. But why would I want to make my life easier? There we go. So it's got, oh, it's just magnets. Wow. It's something, I guess. Usually it's a pin, like a little friction fit pin, but what? Okay, no, that's right. I need to power. Where's your power button? That was close. Ooh, that would have been bad. You know what? I'm not going to put that on. I will wait until it's upright before I put that on. Almost shattered it. All right. exhaust, exhaust. No, intake, exhaust, exhaust. So the front three are intake, and then they have exhaust on the top. Why would they put exhaust on the top? One would think you would have them as intake. Interesting choice. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. It's got, actually, that's a pretty beefy PCI Express lever. Well, it's pretty. It's not one of those little cheap ones or ones that fold out from the side. Kind of nice. Unfortunately, this case doesn't have USB-C on the header. So I can't actually use this port. But they don't have a USB-C phone. They have the iPhone ones. And they have their wireless charging, so they don't care about plugging their phone in that way. All right. I think we're done, people. I don't see anything else that I want to do tonight. I will get this ready, packaged up, and I have to go deliver it up to the customer's house and back up all of her stuff off her old one. I have a cradle. Yeah, actually, let's show you guys this stuff. I don't have an NVMe one of these, but we'll do this. Unplug. All right. So we have two different ways to do stuff. So let's say you are building your machine. You have an old computer, and you don't want the drive. You just want to get your data off of it, anything that you want, and it still works. This is a dock. This was like $30 off of Amazon. I've had this for like 9 years now. It's got lots of memory cards, USB on it, but it does IDE drives, has the Molex here. So because the old IDE drives, they don't make them anymore. Because I do come across a lot of older machines, and they need to be wiped because most of the recycle places don't wipe them. They just shred those IDE drives. So I have this so that I can wipe the drives before I recycle them. And this side does SATA. So you can just take an actual SATA hard drive and dump it right in there, right? The other one, and this just plugs in with USB, and so it treats it like a flash drive. And then you can just browse through the drive. And this is an M.2 SATA. So this only does SATA, it does not do NVMe. But it will let you take a SATA SSD and plug it in the same way as the dock. And then you can just copy your data off if you want, without having to install it in the machine. If you want to keep the drive, you don't need this. You'll just have to force boot to the first drive, because if your operating system is on the old SATA, you don't want it to accidentally boot to this one and then you format the other one. That'd be bad. So you make sure you force boot to the one that you installed Windows on, then shut it down, install the old one, force boot to this one, and then you can copy your data. You'll have to probably take ownership of stuff in the documents and the user folders and stuff, but then you can get all your documents off of that, and then you can wipe this drive and just use it for storage. Might be a 128 gig SATA drive or 250 or 500 gig, and you might have bought the 2 terabyte one, right? But it's extra storage and it's free because it's from your old machine. You already paid for it. So those are very handy tools. I used to have a little dongle one. It was just a cable that had like the different connections on all the sides, and it got lost when I moved out here, so I don't know where it went. But yeah, essentially that is the entire build process, without installing Windows. So yeah, I hope you guys learned something. I learned stuff too, especially how the BIOS flash works on this particular motherboard. So that's good information to know, and you just build up your knowledge base over time. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna end the stream here. I'm gonna take a break, get outside, open the door, open the windows because it's really hot in this room. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. And yeah, oh yeah, subscribe subscribe so I can get monetized again. They removed my monetization. So, anyways, we'll talk to you guys later.